Hello, and welcome to Insightful Conversations with your host, Three Principles practitioner, Adey-Jones. Join her each week as she welcomes some of the world's leading Three Principles teachers and practitioners who share how this understanding has dramatically improved the quality of their lives and the lives of those they work with.
I'm very excited to have Lucy Sheffield with me today. Lucy is a writing coach, a children's author, and an abstract artist. She helps creative women who feel trapped and unable to express themselves reconnect with their self-confidence, allowing them to freely create again. Her mission in life is to help women step back into their creative power. Welcome, Lucy. It's lovely to have you here today. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having
me. My pleasure. I'm going to get stuck in right at the deep end. So I'd love to hear about your life story, what brought you to the principles. So start wherever you want.
Okay. I will start with, it's around about 10 years ago now, actually. Mm-hmm. And essentially what happened was my auntie Deb had changed a lot, if you like. She'd been through kind of an abusive relationship, and I'd seen this change in her, and I came to visit her. At the time I lived in the Midlands and she lived down in Devon, where I am now, and she'd changed so much that when I came down to visit her, essentially the weekend that we spent here, I was like, what is it? Why are you so happy? They were my words. I was like, why are you so happy? I don't get it. Like, what has happened to you? And at the time, all I can say was, as my partner of the time and I drove home, I just kept saying to her, I don't know what Deb was on about, but I know she was talking something about thought, but I have no clue. I couldn't put it into words. So what Deb and I had arranged was, I wanted to sort myself out and I wanted to be happy like her. And could we have some chats and could she help me?
Yeah.
So we'd arranged to have a call. It was probably Skype then, not Zoom, every single week. And she thought, oh, Lou won't turn up. She won't. I don't think she'll kind of be interested. And Deb was very new to sharing it and helping people anyway, because she'd only come across it around, I don't know, maybe 6 months before that. Mm-hmm. But essentially with my partner, what was going on at the time with me and her was I knew that I was ruining the relationship, if you like, because I drank heavily. And when I drank, I felt very insecure and unsure of myself. And I took it out on her verbally. So there was something inside of me that thought, I don't want to be that person anymore. I don't want to be nasty to her. Like, she's a lovely woman and I don't want to ruin things. So that was kind of why I went to the principles, if you like, and why I wanted to sort myself out, you know. So we had these weekly chats and I don't even know what happened. I think I was one of those that soaked it up like a sponge, and I was just like, oh my God, this makes so much sense. And I was just so ready for it. And I was hearing so much about how thought creates our reality and how things weren't happening to me, but I was experiencing it through me. Mm. And I was just like, oh my God, this is the magic I've been missing all my life.
Yeah.
And one of the very first things that kind of changed was my partner would go off to work, and I think I'd got a cleaning business or something then. And when I came, I was home before her, and she would come in and she would walk in and say, what have you done with Lou? What's wrong with you? So I knew I was changing, if you like.
Yeah, that's kind of. So I'd like to just give me a little more background, because I know that you had struggles when you were younger, and which, you know, resulted in the drinking and things. So talk a little bit about that. And
yeah,
I mean, because it was pretty transformational, the shift. So I'd like to have people see that side.
It certainly was. Yeah, it was. essentially when we were younger, we were brought up in a religion. Most people have never heard of it. It's called Christadelphian. And we were kind of told like what to do and how to dress and how to behave and all of these things. We were just told what to do all the time. And very early on, from about the age of 13, I think I just rebelled against it completely. I was just like, no, you're not telling me what to do. I've got my own mind. I know what I like. I'm not doing this for reasons that don't feel right to me. So I just pushed against it. And we had like, my mom and dad split up and I went through some kind of shit with that. And I felt like when I was about 14, 15, I kind of had my first crush, if you like, on a teacher who was female, and I didn't know how to deal with that. And when I tried to tell my mom, she was like, she didn't know how to deal with it. And it was all like a complete mess. And it was really hard. Like, and then I got bullied at school and all sorts went on. And I genuinely felt I hated myself. I didn't like myself, love myself or anything. I just hated myself. So when I kind of made friends with these girls, I got a job when I was about 15. I made friends with these girls that were older and they were all into drinking. So they used to take me out with them. And I just thought it was amazing because as soon as I had a drink, I would feel like relaxed. And I was like, I could be myself and speak my mind and say what I was too scared to say in any other kind of situation and thing at home, because it was always like, no, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do the other. Mm-hmm. So going out with those girls that were older anyway, so I looked up to them, I was like, oh my God, I can be me and I can be wild and I can do all the things I want to do, you know? Yeah. So that was...
So I find it really interesting because it sounds like you with a lot of life circumstances pushing up against you, had some of insecurity and not being good enough. And the irony is now this is what you help other women with, which is so fabulous. So how did that come about? Because you obviously, as I said, you had a history of feeling, unworthy or you tell me what some of the feelings were that you had when you were growing up about yourself.
Yeah, it was definitely, I'm not good enough, I'm not lovable, all the things. It was like I was too fat, I was spotty, all these things, and then it was almost like as if that wasn't enough, and then I had to bloody fall in love with women, didn't I? Which was not allowed at all. And it was like, oh, for God's sake, God, can you deal me a better card, please? So that was just horrible. But it was almost like I've got enough to deal with. I don't know how to cope with that, let alone how do I bloody come out as gay or whatever words you want to put on it. Yeah. So that was really hard. So I ended up running away to Spain because I fell in love with my best friend and I just couldn't deal with it. So I had to I felt like I had to run away. And then I forgot what your question was now. Sorry.
No, that's okay. No, I was just asking you to describe some of the feelings, and you did. You felt. I love how you shared that, but I don't mean to laugh. But it's just I love your energy and But it was like you felt fat, you felt spotty, you felt all this feelings of unworthiness, and then God goes and has you be attracted to women. There wasn't. For you to deal with, but that's so beautiful. I love the way. So then you said, you escaped to Spain. What part of Spain?
Near Murcia.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Do you know? Yeah. So just by Torrevieja.
Mm-hmm. Lovely. So you eventually came back, and so you mentioned that the drinking initially helped you relax and feel more like yourself, but then you also mentioned that there was a side of you that was coming out that you didn't like with your partner. So that was what had you look for help? Was that right, with your auntie?
Yeah, because I didn't, even though I came across the principles, like, I'm sure it's about 10 years ago now, I didn't, the drink, even though I came to the principles initially to sort myself out from the drink kind of thing, that just didn't fall away. I couldn't see it. I couldn't see it as thought or anything in that way. It got better, and I think that's because I got better as a person. So I stopped being abusive because I started to love myself. So when I drank, all those angry feelings didn't surface anymore because they weren't there. They'd gone away. So when I did drink, I wasn't that person anymore. So I think I know I then kid myself that it was okay to drink because I couldn't see it any other way. So, but with the drink, that didn't, it was January this year. So it's almost 12 months. But that's when it was about this time last year, I started to see that I was like, shit, Lou, you've come through so much and transformed so much in so many areas of your life. And you know that the last thing is the drink. But to like say that out loud, even to myself, was so hard and so brave and courageous kind of thing. And I thought, yeah, but I can't say that to someone else because then it makes it real. And I'm going to have to admit this, and then I'm going to have to stop. And then what? I don't know how to live life without the drink. So that's kind of what came next. And that all came through my writing, actually, because before I did the Jules class, Maria helped me, and I did some of the writing like you talk and the first level stuff. And it came out in that. So Maria was kind of like the first person I told about right, I'm ready to do this drink thing now. And I was like, oh my God, it's out there. I've got to do it. But I knew, something in me knew that on the other side of that really scary, fearful brick wall of trying to get through the alcohol was going to be something, without swearing, amazing. God, so amazing, you know. I can swear, fucking amazing. I just knew, you know, I've seen enough over the 9 years that I just knew this was going to be kind of the making of me, if that makes sense.
Well, gosh, that sounds like you were hearing wisdom loud and clear. So it's so interesting. It's so many, creative people. And I know you're not just an author and a writer but you're an abstract painter too. But so many creative people feel that they're not going to be creative anymore if they give up drinking or whatever it is. And it sounds to me like you're saying there was something deep inside you that was saying, actually, there's something greater on the other side. So I'd love you to talk about.
I don't know if I knew that. I don't know if I knew that by giving up the drink, it was going to almost... The way I see it is like, I didn't know how to be me, and I was hiding behind the drink, and I was too scared to be myself still. I still didn't realize I was good enough because I'd used the drink in social situations so that I could feel more relaxed and all that stuff that everyone does, I think. And I didn't know that it was almost like this dam, if you like, blocking that creative flow to come through me. I kind of started thinking, right, okay, I don't really know what to do with myself. I don't know what I like. I had to re-explore kind of who I was. It was really bizarre because I'd put so many limitations, crazy things like I have to be home by 5 o'clock because I start drinking at 5:30, So my day would be really short because it would end. And it was like, now what? I've got all this time on my hands. So that's essentially what happened. I'd got all this time on my hands because in the evenings I would drink. So the day was gone. It was like, yes, I can drink now. There's no more boredom time to get through, if you like. So I think what happened was I chatted to some girl online, and she added me to this art group, and I saw a woman in there create this art, and I was like, what is that? It's just gorgeous. And it was this thing called paint pouring. Do you do art as well? I can't remember, Dad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
Do you know
more,
what paint pouring is?
no, I don't. Tell me.
Oh, okay.
I'm more figurative, realistic.
Essentially, you pour paint everywhere.
So like a bit Jackson Pollocky, yes.
Yeah. Oh God. Yeah. I've done one of those actually over there. Yeah, I've got one of those over there. But essentially, I started playing around with this, and I googled what paint pouring was when this woman said that's what it was, because it just looked so beautiful to me. It just looked so colourful, so bright, vibrant, so I don't know, expressive, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
So essentially, you put all different colours of your paint into one little like plastic cup thing, and you pour it out in a certain way, so all the paint zhuzhes around and makes this amazing pattern, and it's just beautiful. So have a go one time. So that's what I started with then. Because we were in lockdown and we live in a farmhouse here. Our landlady had said, just mooch around the farm as much as you like and walk about. So we went for long walks, and we were finding like slate and pieces of like bark and stuff from the woods, and I just collected it all and started having a go at this paint pouring on these things. And I don't know what happened, but I think that creativity that had been inside of me and blocked for all them years of drinking just started absolutely gushing out of me. It's the only way I can describe it. It really did. And I just couldn't stop. And I went on from having a go at paint pouring to exploring with abstract art. And I was just painting every day for hours and hours and hours. Yeah. And essentially that's
while you were still drinking, or after you stopped drinking, you filled your day with art?
Yeah, it was about 2 months after I stopped drinking that I started to get into it. Yeah. So it really was incredible. It was like, I just can't stop this. Something is that creative genius that we talk about in the writing.
Yeah.
Is that it just was like, whoa, Lou's let me through now. I'm coming out to play kind of thing. I was like, whoa.
Oh, that's so great. I'm thinking, I think I wrote a piece in the class we're in together, and it was like, how the hell did Hemingway do it? Because I know when I've had a drink, and I try and write, it's like I woke up the next day going, what was that? It's like, I don't trust myself when I've had a drink and try and create. So, so that's amazing. And I know that you're an author. You do, you write children's books. I'm curious, what is it about children's books that drew you?
Essentially, it's the fun element of writing a children's book. So like for me, especially since I stopped drinking, one of the most important things in my life that I think we lose quite easily as an adult is that element of having fun every day, and kind of feeling free. They're definitely like some of my really core values that I like to incorporate every day, that I have fun and I feel that sense of freedom. So I kind of thought, right, if I write children's books, I can really go to town on that. Like I can really, my imagination can just run wild, and I can go anywhere that I can think of. I can go with that idea and be like, oh my God, what can we think up here? This could be so much fun. And so, yeah, I'm writing the second one at the moment, and I was writing it last night, actually. And I had to stop myself writing because I was like, I'm really enjoying this. Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about the story. I know it's, tell me again, it's two children. So tell us a little bit about the story.
Yeah, it's a girl and a boy, and they're 8 years old, and they kind of meet by accident at a deserted railway. And the little girl's like really super confident, and the little lad's really shy and unsure of himself. So the whole point of the book is that they kind of learn from each other and come to some kind of balance by the end. And they get plunged into this imagination world that's called Kakaruni Zoo. And they have to go on a mission to rescue the Kakaruni who's been kidnapped and see if they can make it back to the real world in time. It's great fun.
Now, is there like a three principles message in it? Is this for children to sort of wake up to the principles, or is it just you having absolute fun?
It's not. There isn't a three principle message in that way. However, my way of being fun and having that, and kind of seeing the two children evolve and realize that she could be a bit less cocky and confident and he could be more, that's the sort of underneath message. But it is all about children having fun and not losing that, and seeing the magic in life.
So I know you've got some beautiful artwork right there behind you. So I'm just curious how the principles impact how you create art.
Yeah, that is a great question. Because I think there's a kind of, I don't know, is the word stigma when people think something that maybe isn't true. The artists tend to struggle to do abstract art because it's so loose, if you like there's no perfectionism in it. And I've definitely heard other artists say that most artists start with learning how to draw, to paint, like real life stuff, and then they go on to be an abstract artist. But I can absolutely see the reason that when I started painting my abstract art, it was like there was something in me that wanted to experience and feel that freedom, and that basically it doesn't fucking matter how this turns out. Like, it's a process. Let's play, let's let loose, let's have fun, let's just see what happens here. And I've never ever let that loose before as I did on these canvases. And then the stuff that's come out is like, whoa, how have I done that? I don't even know. I genuinely don't feel I can take credit for it very often, because it does feel like, so many people say to me, you've got such an eye for colour. And I'm like, have I? Oh, I don't feel like it's me. It really feels like it's happening through me. And I don't know, maybe I shouldn't say this, but I don't think many people can get to that level of it's okay no matter what happens. Let's just, we'll pretty much slap it on the canvas and go with what is. I know, like, it does feel like the kind of colours and what to do just speaks to me, and I just go with the moment and it just happens. It sounds a bit woo-woo, but that's how I experience it,
No, it doesn't sound woo-woo at all. It sounds fabulous. Now, I'm curious about what you said, because I think there's some absolute truth to it. When I was formally trained in, classic sort of, painting, figurative painting. So I can like paint anybody very realistically. But I do have a challenge with abstract art, because it's like there's a limitation there. So did you ever have any classical art training that you had to overcome, or you just, thank goodness, bypassed that?
Okay, here's what happened. So it isn't quite that this has just happened. Like, I've always been able to draw. I used to paint in my 20s, but I had that block of I'm not good enough. And I used to kind of paint landscapey stuff then, but I was so perfectiony, and I was just like, no, this is shit. It doesn't look like it's what it's supposed to, etc. And I did do some lessons in Spain when I lived out in Spain. I had a good friend who was an artist as well, and we used to go for lessons together. But again, I kept comparing myself, thinking it wasn't good enough, all the usual stuff. And I just couldn't get over that barrier. I saw that everywhere in my life. I'm not good enough. It was the story I ran. And now it's almost like the opposite. No, not I'm too good. I just mean like, oh my God, I can do this. I can do what I want. The limitations are gone. I mean, I have to say, I don't think I could paint a person. I'd struggle with that. I haven't got a clue how to do that. So I don't think I could do that. But I have been expanding lately.
Yeah, I love what you're saying. And I think it's so true. It's like, we get so caught up in our heads about comparing, and especially in, sort of realism or figurative painting or landscape, it's, the temptation is to do the comparison. But when you're just purely just letting it come through you, there is no right and wrong. Nobody can say, well, that doesn't look like it's supposed to look. It's like, no rules apply there. I love that. I love that freedom. So I know you work with a lot of women that want to express themselves. So talk little bit about how you get some. So somebody comes to you and they're the old version of you. They've got all the I'm not good enough and I can't do this and I'm not creative. So how do you draw that out of
I'm actually a bit of a bugger, because I think that if people are ready for it, then I think it's very good to push them and get them to go outside of their comfort zone. So I do a lot of I usually work with people one-to-one, and we either do writing. I tend to do writing coaching quite a bit around that, which is really helpful because I use questions, reflection questions that get us to go deep and discover ourselves. And I also kind of do a lot of challenges to get people to see where they're comparing with others, and to really hone in on, we are all unique and we have our own voice, either in writing, in creativity, and whatever it is. Funnily enough, my auntie and I were talking about this just before we came on the call, and we were saying how, as an artist, you can shamelessly steal kind of thing. But we never, ever, why do we worry about other people stealing our stuff and copying and that? Because there's always going to be a Lulu twist to it, or a Dell twist to it, or it's always going to be unique to you, because you come at it from your own expression through your experience. So yeah, I kind of try to help women see that comparison kills creativity, because it wastes our time, it takes up space in our minds. And then when it takes up that space in our mind, it means we're not clear. And when we're not clear, we can't take action and move forward. We get overwhelmed. So we stop ourselves and we block ourselves. So essentially, that's kind of how I help women with that.
Beautiful. I'm curious what some of those reflective questions are. So I'm your new client too. I come to you saying, I'm really blocked. I can't, I'm no good at this anymore, or whatever. So what would you ask me to help me drop into that place?
One of my golden questions that I like to ask is, what one big achievement would you love to kind of achieve in your life, if you like? What one big thing?
Be less self-conscious.
we definitely need a 3-month program, Dal, for this.
We need longer.
Yeah, but I ask the women to really think about that, and really reflect and go deep and see what it is for them that they come up with. And so many people say, I don't know, or I'm not sure, or this. Most people say, I don't know. And that's where I was a few years ago. I was like, I don't know what I want from life. I don't know what I want to do. And I think we do know. And it's whether we know that we know, kind of thing. And it's whether we know how to access that, because we always know. We always know in our heart, but we're scared because it won't make money, or what people are going to think of us. The list goes on, and we don't do and follow what we know is in our heart and our passion to do. So
yeah, no, I was teasing before, because it's so true. And I know I've only just come across writing. It's, I went to art school. I was quite comfortable painting and things like that. But my writing was I can't write. But there was something inside me that was has always been, you need to write. And I've grappled with it. And I'm 61 now, and it's only in the last year. So I think 60 years of saying, I can't write.
Yeah.
Just letting that go and going, it's just, you can talk. So just,
exactly.
You can talk, you can write to a degree. Just to let go of that, and just to start putting stuff out there. And initially it was terrifying for me. I'd write something and I couldn't hit send, and but it's getting easier, and it's definitely something that but it's that knowing, it's like that absolute knowing, a pushing inside you that was like wanting to come out, just wanting to come out, and I kept sort of putting the stopper in it and saying no, and so that's amazing. I love that. So I have a question, not a question for you, but knowing what you've been through and your whole story and how you're living today, if you could like say something to your younger self when they were struggling, that 15-year-old you, what would you say to them now?
Probably something along the lines of you're whole and complete, and you have everything inside you that you need.
It's beautiful. It's so true. It's so true. And for me, the big one was, knowing that all that insecure thinking didn't mean anything about me. I didn't have to pay attention to it. For some reason, I had this mistaken belief that it was just informing me on who I was. I had no idea that it was just, random thoughts, got all caught up in.
I didn't even know thinking existed, or I didn't even think it was a thing. Like, I just thought, I don't know what I thought. I did until I heard the word kind of thought and thinking. I had no clue. I just guess I thought it was truth that was going on in my head.
Yeah,
I suppose.
Exactly. I think we all do.
Just like,
So do you feel that you will write a 3 Principles book?
I have already written one.
Wonderful.
But I kind of feel a bit embarrassed about it because, so essentially I've always wanted to be a writer, if you like, because when I was about 50, no, I think I was about 16, I did write a couple of books and I tried to get them published, but like with everything, my underlying story didn't help me that I wasn't good enough. It was very different back then as well. So none of that came off, and I went on to work in the corporate world and stuff. And then is it about 4 years? I think it's about 4 years ago, I wanted to write, and I was like, I'm going to write a book, and I'm going to self-publishing was about then. So I did. I wrote a 3 Principles book. It's very slim. It's very small. It's very simple. A lot of people say it's really good as an introduction.
Fabulous. Tell me what the title is.
It's called The Table with No Edge.
Wonderful.
Yeah, and I think people in India have got it. Do you know Denise Holland?
Yes, very well.
Yeah, she buys quite a lot of my books, my children's books for her kids, but she took a copy of my Table of No Edge book to India when she went trekking there a couple of years ago. So there's people in India who've got my book.
Well, I will order that. That sounds wonderful. And the thing is that the Principles, what we love about, or certainly what I love about it is its simplicity. So, if it is a slim volume, that's all we really need. It's very simple. And however we can reach people, especially in the simplicity, I think is wonderful. So I will definitely get your book and add it to my collection too.
Well, hopefully you will notice an improvement in my writing now from when I wrote that 4 years ago. It's terrible. But,
You're a wonderful writer. I love to hear your story. So,
thank you.
Well, it's been absolutely lovely having you here today. And sorry for some of the technical glitches. Hopefully.
No, I think that's my end, but never mind.
Iron those out. But it was lovely spending time with you. And would love to meet you in person one day.
Yeah, that would be cool. Definitely.
Great. Okay, well, take care. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much, Del.
All right, bye-bye. Thank you so much for listening to the show. If you're interested in learning more about my coaching and mentoring packages, please reach out to me at Adey-Jones@gmail.com. I would love to hear from you.